Getty. All right, there we go. Here, you guys try talking real quick.
Yep.
Hello, hello.
Cool.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Now my shit is starting to pick up stuff. All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that delay. We always have OBS issues and fun times when things update. Yeah, let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me or not, but we'll figure it out as we go. I think we're good. Okay. So, thank you all for joining us. This is Lost Legacy Growth Quest, Otiseth. So, as you may have met Otiseth during another growth quest, you will likely see him more throughout this stream. But before we get into it, why don't we introduce everyone and do all that fun spiel? So, I'll start with, this is Lost Legacy. This is our live play D&D game. And this is going to be happening during a period of about a 1-year downtime between the main quest's ending chapter, them searching for Norm, and then restarting into the second half of the adventure. All right, let's see. We're going to start, I guess, in the order that they can see you on the Twitch. So we're going to start with Chris. Why don't you tell us who you are, what kind of cool projects you have, and, I mean, we don't really know your character yet, so you don't have to introduce him, but if you want to, you can.
All right, no, that's no problem. I will go very basic and allow the game to progress as it does. I am Chris. I will be playing Eloy. That's all you're getting from me. As far as projects are concerned, I have my own channel, Players and Creators, where I run 2 D&D sessions. Wednesdays is Tyranny of Dragons, and Thursdays is my homebrew Wild Map campaign. On Wednesdays, we have Gene and Julia, who are usually on my Wednesday game, and Thursdays is a brand new group, a whole different group of people. So that's pretty much what I got going.
All right, next, Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam. I have nothing to promote, and I am playing Otiseth, the Dragonborn archaeologist.
It belongs in a museum. All right, next, Norm.
Hey, gang. My name's Norm. I normally play Kaboom, also known as Kellen, but I am playing a Dragonborn named Pt1. I want to apologize in advance. I am waiting for a phone call. If I see it, you'll see me blink out real quick, but I promise I'll get back right away.
Yeah, I mean, worship's where we can always take a break during that time. All right, so why don't we paint one of those things like a word picture or something? But we'll do it in a second after I tell you some fun stuff. So, on our channel, you can get channel points, which are little potions for watching and, you know, just kind of hanging out on there. And you can turn those in for inspiration so that you can help affect the game. You can buy player inspiration, where when you buy it, you can either specify a specific person because you like them more than you like the others, or you can choose for the group. I'm not trying to influence in any way. I just think it's funny when people do it specific. And the group will decide if who they want to spend on if you do it for a group. Thank you, Mama Shady, the first one in. The other thing you can do with lots of channel points is you can buy DM inspiration, which will likely be used against them, but there is a chance that, depending on the situation, it might be used for them. It'll really depend how I feel and if I think the role is important enough to garner an inspirato. All right. I mean, you can see we're running Lost Legacy. We're going to be doing these growth quests throughout time, because it's going to be a nice way to be able to still get the game running if we are missing 1 or 2 people without moving the major storyline along. And the major storyline will be continuing along once all players are available. So, don't think you're missing out. Think of these as kind of little glimpses into each character's own little, like, starring story. Each character in their growth quest is kind of the main character, and the other players will be with us as support, and also, who's to say you may meet these characters in the future. So, it's nice that we have these people already built, and that we get some role-playing tips, or we're probably going to see some of these. So let's talk a little bit about where this session takes place. If Narramore is on the top northwestern side of the continent, directly opposing it to the southeast is this glorious empire known as Khazralia, where people are judged by their merits, their strengths, and their bloodline. Though it would be rare for you to see someone of a mammalian descent there, as they are often looked down upon. This is an empire of heroes. This is an empire of those who prove themselves from the ground up. And so that is where we start. This is Khazralia, the hero known as Cazalroy Mantledrake, founded this empire about 200 years ago, and through strength, wit, and tactics, the empire has thrived. They overthrew they overthrew their draconic overlords, freeing their people and including subjugating these dragons. And with that strength, they grew. They've always had a long feud and conflict with the dwarves who live through the mountain of the Wormspire Peaks. And so it has always been a harder activity for the Khazralian Empire to move to the more connecting continental region of this continent, Chaldea. Though they have a very strong navy, and part of that strength comes from their living navy. They have learned, we're going to go through, they have learned how to harness and kind of grow specialty dragon turtles. They're a little bit stunted compared to your normal moving, mile-sized island that is a dragon turtle. These are more, anywhere from 30 feet to 300 feet. Large structures can be placed on them. There are sails that are also able to be attached to the shells of these creatures, and they are your living fleet. We'll go through the noble houses of Khazralia. We have House Verdance, which is the merchant house and the monopoly of money and trade. They are those who are the most likely to trade with the outside world. They're also those who have cultivated the growth and taming of the dragon turtles. They unlocked a secret which they keep primarily to their house, and this is that these people have learned to create a sacred and magical bond with the dragon turtles, and those people are known as the Speakers. And they make up of different, generally green dragonborn, and turtlekin. Those will be important in our future. We don't have to go through all the houses, but the ones that may come up. Now, the main house. This is known as House Oblexia. They are generally black and copper dragons. They are the military might, and also the founding house of Khazralia. They are currently the house in power. This place, the power of the empire shifts. In every few years, there's a gladiatorial combat which helps choose the new leaders. But that's for another story. So we start off. Otiseth. You have recovered the artifact. You trying to figure out what you are going to do now that you have it. Suspicions arise, things not quite what they seem. As paranoia began to creep in, maybe a sign, maybe a call, a beacon that's been in the throne room since you were born, since generations before you. You've heard of it, that apparently there was a magical brazier that would light if Cazalroy Mantledrake was ever needed again. It was an obligation that he promised, and so your people kept it. But again, it's been so long. The purpose and need of this have lost in translation. And eventually, only maybe a week or two ago, the flames lit. And flashing in front of you was these different heroes with names that you hold on, let me pull up my friggin' docs. It's definitely open. That you know that you've heard of, because Cazleroy was a hero. He saved the world, with the help of some minor humanoids and other people, but he was a true hero. And at least the story was told about his companions that help him get through it, but really it was his glory and honor to serve. It flashes a human decked in magnificent plate mail, long sword, shield, metal gauntleted arm that looks like a prosthetic limb. And it says, Sir Garth the Strong, human. Then below it, you see a humanoid, like almost like not shaved bald head, but like wizard robes, a floating spell book, and it goes, goatee. He looks about middle age, and it says, Ralford, human, wizard. Then below that, a tinier image, you see this like gray-skinned, bald gnome with like scintillating robes. Sparkles come off him. It says, Norlander Orem of Clan Mernig, gnome illusionist. Below that, you see a blue-skinned water ganassi holding up a symbol of like a moon with like a crashing tidal wave, and you kind of holding up, and like auras of power come off him, which you recognize being of your own religion, that this is a cleric. And it says, Orwayne McLean, water ganassi, cleric. Beneath that, it kind of shrinks again, and you see a halfling, female halfling, lithe, looks like she knows how to move, and out of the corner of your eye, her shadow seems to be moving independently of her. And it says, Nadia Peacepennies, halfling. And then it doesn't describe what she can do. Then it kind of shifts over, and you see this lithe elven form with blazing silver hair, like a bow made of wood itself, two glowing short swords at her side, kind of looking around with like different markings that definitely come off as druidic, but you're not a druid, so you don't really know. And it says, Alanathan Zaaftu, a Ladrin ranger. And then last, the largest image, the most glorious image. You see a black dragonborn decked in a multi-scaled armor of different defeated dragons, each plate a piece of these ancient dragons that Cazleroy Mantledrake slew. He has a crown of different draconic teeth from each one, and it says, Cazleroy Mantledrake, Emperor, Leader, Hero. And kind of like all of it goes away. And it said, and it begins pinging. And you see an illusion appear in front of you. And you see that that strange, oh, thanks, buddy. You see that strange gnomish figure. Again, this black-skinned, bald, shimmering cloak. And it goes, Cazleroy Mantledrake, if you are alive or your descendant is here, we need your aid. Come seek me out. It is I, Norm the Gnome. The threat is back, and we need your assistance. And then it kind of repeats and repeats, and eventually a council is called. You're not invited, Otiseth, as you're not as well liked here. You haven't shown the greatest of prowess, though skilled you are. You haven't though you are a master of history, and of course history is very important to your people and this place. You have not shown all the other aptitudes that they would expect from a member of House Oblexia. But you are a descendant. Currently, Cazleroy's great granddaughter is on the throne of the Empire. She is the current leader of the Casralian Empire. And her name is Cazleray. With an E opposed to the O, where Cazleroy is spelled. And most people, those who like you could call her Ray, but anyone else they would probably be beheaded, or their tongue cut out, if they were of a lower station. Many meetings go on over the next week, and you are called in front of Emperor or Empress Cazleray and her small council. Each one of the many houses are represented here. That you have, House Sevlind, which are they kind of do the wild hunt. They are agriculture, animal husbandry, horticulture. They also like clear the paths and the wild lands around Casralia. You have House Rexus, which are artisans, crafters, gifted people, hammer and flame. They harness, the red dragon breath to forge the armaments and weapons and items. You also have House Azura member, who is they're like the judiciary arm of Casralia. They kind of like are the police force, and they do the laws, which are straightforward. There's crime and then there's punishment, and that is how it works. And they strive for absolute fairness, but absolute letter of the law. And of course, a member of House Verdance, who is the bank, baby, and can fund, and they trade with the outside world. And so they have all been called with you also. They're sitting at like a long table. You have like these marble pillars. It's like you're in your own like personal, almost like not Colosseum, but like the Greek like style fucking like amphitheater thing with like fucking columns, and like your claws clack on the ground as you are the only one in here besides these people. They kind of, everyone turns their slitted eyes, and for a moment you are given the time to approach at whatever pace you are choosing.
Otiseth, is there an obvious seat that I'm supposed to sit in?
No, but there is the head of the table open that you kneel, or like you get given permission to be here when you arrive.
Got it.
As you're
moving,
as you're moving,
Otiseth will walk like slowly to that position.
You hear, "Be wary. This could be a trap. They know everything." As you know that Severax is a sentient artifact. It is now added to your sheet too, if you've seen it, if you look at it.
I will take a look.
What you know of this item that you carry, the item that maybe have led you upon this strange predicament of fearing for what is going on, and also a little bit of your strangities. You notice, that it can see, perceive, speak to you, and it likely has many more secrets. I think I added it to you. I think it's on your sheet.
Yeah, I found it. I haven't read through everything yet, but
yeah. And so, click clack, your claws moving across the marble. You get to within about 5 feet of the edge of the table. And everyone is looking at you with silence. And you see your probably like great aunt, or maybe like sitting a little bit a higher pedestal at the far end of this like 20-foot long table.
Yeah. Otiseth will walk up to wherever the like right place is to
Yeah.
present himself, and I don't know if like bowing or whatever the right thing is.
There's a cushion for you to put your knee on when you take a knee.
Yeah. He will do so.
Okay. As you
say, "How may I be of service?"
Ray nods. Otiseth, my young great nephew, a service is required of the Khazralian Empire.
Name it, and I will execute to the best of my ability.
That is what we hope for. Long standing has an oath been sworn by our great leader, and that is to come to these humanoids' aids. The threat were to ever return, the great shadow that blanketed this world and threatened it. We never thought it would come to this day, but clearly the pink skin's magic has failed once again, to no one's surprise. And as she says that, you hear like, as these non-lipped, because they're fucking dragon people, begin laughing, and it's truly a horrible sight to a human. But to these people, it is normal, as they all start kind of cackling, and with like a simple movement of her hand, absolute silence. We thought that none of us could leave the Empire, could be vulnerable, but someone who carries the great hero's bloodline should go to represent our strength, unity, and honor to the cause.
I will venture forth and clean up the mess left behind by the fleshlings, and remind them once again of the greatness of the Khazralian Empire.
Everyone seems to nod with like, that's the perfect answer. Everyone just kind of slowly nods. She kind of looks around. She goes, Council, as you have heard Otiseth's declaration, you are dismissed. And with like a snap of their heels and standing, they all file out. About a minute or two goes by. And she kind of snaps her finger. And, sorry, I need to look at something. You see someone from the shadows appear. Hey, Norm, why don't you describe your character? You're silenced. You're muted, Norm. You're muted.
Yep, I need to fix it. My dog tends to bark, so I keep it muted unless I need to talk. You see a gentleman, probably a little bit shorter than most Dragonborn. He is of copper sheen. He is standing there quite simply, wearing just normal garb. At his belt, you see a short sword. Appears to be some type of warrior, perhaps a martial artist.
And Norm, what's your first name or your character's name?
Patron.
Okay.
P-A-T, Patron.
This is Petrin. He is from the Order of the Open Claw. And you would know that they are, martial artists. They are able to use their full bodies as weapons. And they are often kind of trained as elite bodyguards, as they can move and blend, but also fight with complete devastating efficiency. Not that we think that you would have any failings or problems, but we could not send one of the royal members of our house out into this flesh world alone.
I take it as naught but a sign of the utmost respect, and I am pleased to have him on board.
All right.
Patron starts to chuckle in the same weird laughter. Stops.
I'm gonna ask you this: are you lying, or do you actually believe what you are saying?
I think he's like hamming it up a little bit. Like
Okay.
he probably doesn't really care, but
Yeah.
he's like trying to like absolutely like check all the boxes.
Yep. Would you make me make me 2 checks. Make me a
Sure.
deception check, and make me a insight check.
You got it. I got an 18 for deception
Nice.
and a 6 for insight.
Okay. Honestly, everything's going smooth. Everything is
Nailed
perfect.
it.
You are doing everything that's expected of you. There is nothing to be desired. Norm, would you give me an insight check?
All right. $12.
Okay. Okay. You definitely see her eyes narrow at how Otiseth is speaking, but there is no outward display of like nastiness or disappointment. And you also realize that you're pretty much alone in this room. So like there might be more outward displays of emotion and stuff that would not be as hidden as would be if you were not in privacy, especially since you're all of the same family and that loyalty and bond kind of goes beyond that. She goes, well, we have procured you a ship. Well, we have procured you a House Verdance's dragon turtles. It is known as Otiseth the Hungry. When you go to the scaled docks, you will be able to find this creature. Look for the banner with the green and gold stripes and a dragon turtle at its center, and you will be able to figure out which is your transportation. The Port of Scales awaits you. Kind of like looks down, tapping her like claws on the table. I will give you, how much time do you need to prepare?
I am always ready to serve the Empire. I need minimal time.
Give yourself a day to get ready and acclimate with the crew. We will prepare a map for you to find your way to locate these beings, or at least maybe their last known locations. I'm glad that your classes speaking the humanoid tongue seem to be paid off, as you guys are speaking Dragonborn or Draconic. For most conversations, everyone assumed that you were speaking Draconic, because that is not the common tongue of the Empire. Like, this would be like common would be your second language if you decided to learn it, but you don't have to. They don't really care. But she goes, your classes you have excelled, and I believe that you will represent us well. Though we will be looking into that strange collapse that happened a few months ago. Do you have any more insights on your studies there?
I thank you for your trust in my ability to serve the Empire in a greater role. With regard to the collapse, it is not but age upon an ancient ruin.
Make me a deception check.
Well, that's not going to go well twice. 12.
She nods. Dismissed.
And he will bow or whatever is the appropriate.
Yeah, you
submissive.
You give her a bow of deference, and then you kind of quickly turn and leave because you have been dismissed.
Yes.
And as you're leaving, you just hear the clacking of her nails upon the table. And Norm, you would know that you are now his shadow. Like you don't have to hide, but you know that you are essentially assigned to him to make sure that he makes his journey and to assist Otiseth in any way. You also know that your Empress is suspicious of her nephew because some strange activities happened in those ruins she mentioned, and she is still trying to figure out what, because he seems to have gone a little weird, and definitely seems to be keeping to himself, and the Empress has noticed, and so she has asked you to not only protect him from any dangers, but maybe try to gain his trust and suss out what is happening. So you guys kind of begin making your way through the palace.
Yeah, I think we'll head towards the docks.
Okay.
We want to find that turtle.
Okay. So as you make your way from the ziggurat at the center of the city, or and you look, there's a giant coliseum that you even know that even getting up into old age, Cazleroy would enter the fights. That this has been a time-honored tradition that any person, any draconic being, lizard folk, grung, turtle, or turtlekin, anyone who shared the cause and the cold-blooded nature of Khazralia always has a chance to succeed, always has a chance to aid and give back to the Empire. And so many of you grew up seeing fights. Heck, some of you have even participated in some. And now you pass by it. There is no fight today, as it's a weekday per se, but you know that there is a gathering match that they will be doing a display where they are recreating the events of when Cazleroy surrounded by a dwarven horde with only a contingent of 5 other dragonborn fought off the the giant goats and the mounted cavalry of the hill folk, and due to supreme tactics, using their broken chariots as defensive walls, held off this horde of bearded ne'er-do-wells, and that there will be a recreation of that, and if the favor is well, then Cazleroy and his band will win again. And you know that these are definitely put on for displays, and people do these as challenges to earn favor and support of houses. That the dwarves are going to be a bunch of grungs with fake hay beards. There are no dwarves here, but
Yeah.
the goats are going to be either drakes or giant riding lizards decorated up. So they do their best, but it will be definitely a good show. Though you've probably grown bored, Otiseth. You've seen this so many, and you may have studied some of the more close tactics and real event that happened here. And this might be a little more fictionalized for your taste.
Sure.
As you pass through the city, each house has their banners flying. Trade. It's a hustle and bustle. You see, thunder lizards, giant fucking stegosauruses, pulling giant carts of different, farming equipment. The forges of, the Red Dragonborn are blazing hot, and you move through this true metropolis. And as you move through, you begin to smell the salty air of the scaled docks, and there is a murmur of a crowd forming in the distance. Anything you guys?
Crowd towards the docks.
Yeah. The crowd is it's they spread off through the docks. And
Is my house status swanky enough that I would want to pretend everyone will defer to me and just walk through?
Oh hell yes. You
okay.
you have, if you wield status, you have it. Because right now there's no one to suspect that anything is up or any issues. So yeah, you are part of the ruling house, the military arm, and these are a lot of commoners.
Yeah, so I just thought they'll just continue walking through without slowing down at all for the crowd, like expecting that they will part.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to feel that way. I'm going to be wary watching everybody because this guy's a little pompous and doesn't realize threats. That's my job, so I'm going to scan the crowd carefully.
Sam, give me an intimidation check with advantage because you do have status, and then Norm, give me a perception check.
Okay.
Or insight, your choice. If you're trying to read the crowd, or if you're specifically looking for threat.
Go perception route.
With advantage, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I got a 23.
Dope.
20.
Awesome. So you kind of, Otiseth, you puff up your chest. You get.
I'm sorry, 19. I don't know if the 1 point's a difference, but.
Feel you're okay, buddy. You puff up your chest, you get as big as possible, and you hear, "Yes, hail to our glory." And you kind of like swell with this pride, and you just begin walking. And at first, you like bump into someone, and you see like this little grung, like, "Hey, man," and like look up. And as soon as he like makes eye contact to like your fucking house sigil on your chest, sees the color of your scales, whatever color was in this frog drains. And I go, oh, sorry. And he begins moving, and you hear a murmur of the crowd as the people in front of you begin to make a deference part. Norm, kind of keep your eye tight, following tightly behind Otiseth, like kind of like his shadow. You notice that there are a few people eyeing him, as he has definitely made a notice, but it seems like they are eyeing everyone in the suspicious, maybe, but you're also in the dockside, so you know that this place is a little bit more rough and tumble. And you hear from the center of this crowd. Yeah, all right, boys. You're gonna have to settle this once and for all if we're gonna go back on sea. Eloy, I know you have a grudge against Tangrisk, so we're gonna settle this on the dry land because we don't take these spouts on the sea. And speaking is Captain Drusk X Verdance, who is the Lizardkin captain, your Lizardkin captain.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't Chris, you describe yourself, and also Sam, we're gonna have you describe yourself as well because I didn't get that to happen, so the people watching understand. So Eloy, why don't you describe yourself, and I'll describe who your opponent is.
Okay, so what you see is this grayish-green turtle that actually is, the face is more of a snapping turtle. The front of his mouth, it comes down to like this very, very sharp, curved beak in the front. You can see where there's flesh, lots of different scars, like healed up scars, some old, some newer, but just on the arms, around the neck, along the face. And interestingly enough, along the back of his actual shell, you can see what look like these curved, it looks like curved bone. Like you're not sure if it's like tusks or where it might come from, but they're clearly like not part of his shell. They seem to be screwed in, and they're curved upwards and downwards, which, you know, if for a trained warrior can tell that this is probably a good thing to have to possibly catch weapons on the back of the shell, to try and keep from being hit. But you also see on the side of his shell hanging is a lute, and on both sides of his shell, hanging from these kind of curved horns, are also two scimitars. And he just kind of looks up to Captain Drusk, and he just, well, Captain, I just told him, I just called him a pile of shit, but, I was mistaken because he lacks both the depth and the warmth. But if we need to settle this on the ground, I'm ready when he is.
Otiseth, why don't you describe yourself, and then I will continue with the scene.
Sure. Otiseth is a towering black dragonborn with gold eyes. He wears a plate chest piece that is also like golden bronzed in color, and like a riding smock or kilt. It's like he's got like a leather like belt with like pieces that sort of hang over his legs. Hanging out the left side of his belt is a morning star, and strapped over his back is a shield. But the shield is clearly concocted of like scales of some sort and has spikes jabbing out of it. It looks like it would hurt. Like it looks like dangerous to even hold, let alone to attack. And yeah, I think the biggest thing is he is a little bit larger and a little bit shinier than like most dragonborn that you might see.
So standing before you, Tangrask, they have mostly fleshy looks, but they have these sharp snake eyes and a bifurcated tongue, as Tangrask is a Yuanti pureblood. And they go, oh, well, you know how much I like turtle stew, so let's make a meal of this. And he kind of snaps his fingers and kind of begins swaying like a snake, and you can tell some sort of magical effect has just occurred over him. And he kind of, with a flourish of a hand, he draws a rapier, kind of goes into a stance with this, again, almost like flowing snake move.
You see Eloy kind of almost like a belly dancer, kind of like swing his hips. When he swings to the left, his scimitar pops up off of the hook and he catches it. And then he swings to the right, he does the same thing, and he's now holding a scimitar in each hand.
All right. Why don't you roll me initiative? And so for everyone else, these dockside fights, as long as everyone's good with it, it's legal. And generally, they're to the death. Because there is no half-assing in Khazralia. You're either weak or strong.
That is a big fat 6.
Okay. So, he kind of hisses, and you hear the rattling of a rattle, but you don't see one. And he lunges forward. You notice his sword erupt in a shimmering of like energy as he goes to strike out at you. Ooh, does AC 19 hit you?
It does, and I will use Absorb Elements as my reaction.
Okay. I will say you don't have to do that because he casts Booming Blade, so it's only if you move will it trigger, because he is also not high enough level that it does extra damage yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he will deal 6 points of piercing damage as he does like a slash right under your kind of jawline where your shell meets your neck, because you have a hard fucking area to pierce. And he kind of continues this dance. For anyone asking, this person has engaged in a blade dance. It is your turn, my friend.
All right. How close are the people around me during this fight?
So I'm gonna say that you guys probably have about a 20-foot ring, with it pushing here and there, and at this, yeah. But it currently is big enough that if you didn't do anything too crazy, you could not hurt people. But also, you know that if you do hurt people, things happen, as long as they're not the right people.
All right, I start swinging my swords in a very odd kind of fashion, and then I slam them together and I cast Shatter.
Jesus. Okay. So what's he have to make? A con save?
Yeah, it makes a Constitution save.
What is your DC?
12.
So as he dances, you noticed that the blast hits him, but due to his snake dance, it seems to shimmer across his scales. He will make his save, as Yuanti seem to have advantage against magic.
Okay, so he will take, instead of 12, he will take 6 thunder damage, as there's this loud shattering sound.
He staggers back, and the crowd erupts. He looks a little hurt, because, he's a fucking wizard. At this point, I'm going to say top of the round, but Otiseth, you make your way to the front of the crowd, and you see this conflict occurring. You see this lizard man, or lizard kin. He has like very flamboyant like fetishes and different pieces hanging off, and a large fucking sweet like captain's hat. But like doesn't really wear other clothing. Like he has like belt pouches and shit, but like no pants. Tail kind of swishing. Yeah, well, he's a lizard person.
But like he's not the captain, right? He's just some guy.
You don't know. He seems to you. He seems to be the one judging the fight, because he's like in the ring, like making, like shouting, like "Go get him!" And you see these two. You see this turtlekin, with blades. This loud explosion come as the scimitar slam together. This Yuanti pureblood stagger back, little like blood pour from his mouth, and he kind of shakes it. And like hisses and kind of goes back into a fighting stance, and he goes, "I see. That's how this is going to go then? Fine." And he kind of strikes forward with his rapier, and 3 missiles of force, pew pew pew, slam out as he casts magic missile. Let's see how he does. Ooh, you're fucking lucky. Take a total of 8 force damage as 3 magic missiles like slam into you, because he's still up there. He hasn't moved, but he's like,
Right.
And you could tell you definitely hurt him. He's a wizard, so he's definitely not feeling great about what just happened.
All right, so I just kind of look, and I look down at where he hit me. I was like, I haven't taken hits like that since the arena. Very well. And I kind of like, it looks like I'm going to rush forward to lunge, and I still swinging my blades the way I did when I cast Shatter. And then when I get right up to him, I slam my foot down, my clawed foot, and I cast Thunder Wave on him.
Oh, okay. That checks out. Oh. All right, he will fail.
Okay, so that's going to be 10 thunder damage.
With a... He slams. The crowd catches him and pushes him back into the ring. He missteps, but catches his balance. You see, like, blood pouring. He definitely probably has a broken rib as he's favoring another side. He's still up.
And for my bonus action, actually, I don't have a cantrip, so that's good. That's it. That's all.
Okay. He kind of... you see him dart in quickly, and he just goes, and just poison comes out of his face. I need you to make me a Constitution save as he poison sprays you.
That is the 8.
That will fail. Now you could use absorb elements, I think.
Okay, yeah, I will use my reaction for absorb elements.
All right. Okay, so 6 poison will become 3 poison. As he hisses, this poison kind of gets in your eye, and for a moment, you all notice that the scales that he has seem to like suck it in almost like a sponge, and his eyes are clear. And yeah, it is. That's all he can do. He's just a wizard.
All right. So he's in my face. I'm going to carve into his face with both my scimitars.
Nice.
So for my action, my first hit.
And I'll say this, Chris, make me a performance check before you go,
Okay.
because you did some dope ass magic. So people are very currently impressed, and let's see if you get the crowd on your side.
That's a 14 for performance.
All right, let me roll his performance. Okay. So after that poison spray, they seem to be on his side, so you do not have advantage.
Okay. So that will be a 16 to hit.
That will hit.
All right, so that's going to be 4 slashing damage plus the 3 poison. Actually, no, it'll be. Hold on, is that how
I think
absorb elements?
you do a d6.
Okay, so that's 4 slashing damage and.
So don't worry about that. So as the poison goes through, it just drips off him, and his fangs latch down, smiling. But he does stagger from that first blow. He looks like he is barely standing.
All right, so since I am a 2-weapon fighter, I will swing again with my offhand.
Okay.
That's going to be a 23 to hit.
Yeah, you fucking hit this dude.
And that's going to be 5 slashing damage.
That's the exact number. Are you trying to kill him or not?
Well, you said that usually to the death is the way we want to do things,
Well, yeah,
right?
absolutely. You know that if you let this guy live, there's likely a chance that when you sail again, he'll fucking stab you in the back. I mean,
Oh, I will then decapitate him.
okay. So you kind of slash up with the first one, and he staggers back as he seems like he has this edge because the poison doesn't affect him. But what he doesn't realize is that you set him up for the offhand. And as he's leaning back, you kind of do this like backspin along your spine shell and swing over your head, and his head falls to the ground. And the
I would like to specifically try something that I probably tried in the arena a number of times. That was like my signature move. That almost like a baseball game, I would try to decapitate, to throw, to get the head to go as far into the crowd as possible.
You can give me a performance check using either strength, dex, or charisma, your choice.
That'll be a 12 with strength.
Okay. It slams into the first row, and everyone's like, ah! Like, everyone erupts in cheers. And the crowd begins to disperse. And Drosh goes, always fancy with the shows, but honestly, he wasn't good for business.
You know, like I said, if you cannot even take a joke, I don't think you should be on a turtle. I mean, that's just the way I see it.
And at this point, Otiseth and Petrin, you notice that the crowd disperses, and what they are in front of is this stunted dragon turtle. It's probably about, the shell's topping, it's probably about 30-ish, 40 feet long, maybe 20, 25 wide. It has been flattened out. You notice there seems to be like a mast in the center that has like sails that are rolled up, as you know that a lot of dragon turtles, they can like grow trees and are planted on their backs, but they have these like built-in sails because again, this is a creature that needs to sleep. So it still needs to be sailed when it's resting, but it has definitely much more increased maneuverability and other aspects that the non-living ships don't get. And standing, you see this banner. You see crates and stuff being loaded and unloaded. You see a bunch of people moving in and out of the ship, which I have written down. There we go. So you see 5 grung kind of like sitting over the edge of the shell with their feet in the water, and they're speaking in this like croaky language, like rah, 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 and they're like pointing, and some of them are like rah, 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 and like one snatches like a small bird from the air, and they begin eating, and they seem to be making jokes because that's the inference you get. You see 5 lizard folk unloading and loading these crates, and on the ship you hear and you see scrambling in and out of like ballista and other things set up are these like kobolds. One has like a fucking goggles on the top of its head. They all have like sunglass goggles that are like over their eyes for the darkness. One has wings. One has like a sack with like you hear a buzzing from it, and they seem to be repairing and reloading some of the heavier armaments that are on the structure. Built on the top of it, you will also notice like small huts, cabins, defensive structures, as like there seems to be like a little bit of like a spike wall, so like if people are trying to fire in it'd be harder to hit. So it's kind of like there's like a small fort on the back of this dragon turtle.
You referred to it as stunted. Was that to suggest that it's like not a good dragon turtle?
No, that they are like dragon turtles are like hundreds of feet long, miles long. They sometimes look like moving islands. These dragon turtles has been bred specifically to essentially be your ship / navy. So like there are still wild ancient dragon turtles in the ocean which are absolute threats. These are like they're bred for docility. They're they won't just like when they're attacked, there's a chance that they won't just dive underwater and drown you all. Like
yeah.
So like when I say stunted, I mean it's kind of like breeding out the traits they don't want.
Got it. Like a domesticated dragon turtle.
Yes, absolutely. That's 100%. And with like the fort kind of opened in the center, there's a like hut that has like these draconic sigils on it, and with a glimpse on the inside, kind of growing from like the stem of part of the shell, you see this like orb, which you would know is like the speaker's orb, how they kind of control and build that bond with their dragon turtle.
Got it. And so, from my my character's point of view, this is totally normal.
I mean, you haven't witnessed lots of fights like this because you're not often at the docks.
Oh no, I meant the dragon turtle.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
This would probably not be. This is not quite a galleon. This is probably this. You can tell that. You know what? Give me a nature check or animal handling check.
18 on animal handling.
Great. So you can tell that this dragon turtle, kind of like assessing it, looking at its fins underwater, it's a built for a little bit more speed than like troop transport and like military action. Like it can defend itself, but it's not like a privateer vessel, or like a true member of the Navy. It's more like a transport vessel for people, a little bit of cargo, but mostly like they do trade and stuff, opposed to like, oh, we're going to transport an army across this dragon. Like, and you will see in that, yeah.
So Otis doesn't want to like let on that the fight is in any way like piqued his interest, so he's just going to continue heading towards the ship.
All right.
But like, what would be like the spot that he would go to be like, like the captain's going to come to me. So I'm going to go onto the ship and go to like.
So you would imagine
place.
that likely probably one of the more fancier quarter, like the buildings, is probably the captain's quarter.
Okay.
And as you kind of begin moving, you notice that fucking lizard folk with the large hat kind of sidles up to you as you both seem to be walking in the same direction. But he doesn't make any words or contact. He just kind of, you notice. And are you doing anything, Eloy, now that you have succeeded in your competition?
I place my scimitars back on my hooks and my shell, and I kind of like jostle myself to shake loose my loot. And I'm starting to. I'll start following as I'm just kind of like tuning my loot. Trying to get it. It's like, oh, this. I hate when I fight and my loot goes out of tune. Is I have to constantly fix it.
Well, I hope you're ready to use it a little bit more because you just killed our bosun. So guess what you are now?
Oh, nice promotion. Excellent.
Well, I guess you get now 1.5 shares. And he just kind of chuckles.
Hey, Gene, as Patron has a background as a sailor, could I overhear that and come to the assumption that the guy walking is obviously the captain since he's kind of directing this guy?
Oh, 100%. As a sailor background, you see the Verdran flag out right in front of the ship. This matches the description, and I'll say that you recognize this, and you're roll me a history check.
A 1.
Awesome. You are pretty sure that this guy belongs to the ship, and that you saw other lizard folk, so there's likely a chance that this other lizard folk with a big hat also is, but it's not a common hat you would find in Kazralia, so it is a little offsetting and it definitely cuts an image. But you can tell that the lizard man definitely walks with a swagger, and this man who just fought, everyone seems to be cool with what just happened. You guys kind of get to the ramp, which is like one of the walls lower down to the dock, used as a ramp that's kind of like tied and lashed on. Like, you notice that there are like definitely like metal hooks and bolts like into the shell of this dragon turtle that are used for like mooring and ropes and a lot of like the things you would need for a boat, but this boat also happens to be alive. You hear in your mind, Otiseth, you hear what they have done to the mighty, they will play. And that you just feel a little bit of.
I have no way of replying without sounding a crazy person, right?
You can mentally talk back, but you get a lot of feelings, and like you've dealt with this because you've been for the past like month. You've been having some really like part of it's like this guy's complaining a lot, but also some of it has given you insight that you didn't realize before. But you put up with a lot of this.
Sure. So I guess if I'm capable of communicating back privately, Otiseth will communicate back. These things will be dealt with in time.
And you just kind of get an affirmative chuffing.
And so, Otiseth's main goal here is to look the part of a ruling class dragonborn, and to get through the crowded, get through the part where there's a big crowd, potentially watching him.
Okay. So you make it to the foot of the ramp, and the crowd seem to have pursed. You hear this lute being tuned behind you, as I imagine Eloy. You kind of just pass them heading right onto the ship.
Yep.
And as you notice that lizard man with the hat kind of step forward, kind of eye you both who are kind of standing together, and goes, "Can I help you?"
This is the guy that has been running the show?
Yeah.
What was the name? Was I given the name of the captain?
You know that he is Captain Drusk X Verdance.
Are you Verdance?
He, with a flourish of his hat, at your service, your liege, and he flips it back on with a skilled practice charm.
I am Otiseth the Ablexia.
He nods with deference. Well, he kind of taps the side of the shell. Welcome to Otiseth the Hungry. We are at your disposal.
Otiseth will just nod and then continue forward.
The captain goes. You watch his like mouth and like neck exposed, and he goes. He starts talking in that strange frog language. You see the grung begin scrambling like they were just caught being lazy. And they start like tying ropes and knots. Now that there seems like an official support.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of like the worms from MIB. Like that's what they were doing, fishing off the side, and like fishing poles are like tossed into the ocean, and they begin like rushing around like there's work to be done.
Mm.
Captain Drusk goes, Eloy, why don't you show Maxter de Ablexia his quarters? And he kind of looks at you, Norm, and he is.
Sorry, what did he say?
He looks at you, Norm, but like gesturing to Sam word-wise goes, and he is.
He is with me.
Of course, your liege. Why don't you show the master and his protector their quarters? And you know that there's been like a small hut or like small cabin that has been set up as their private quarters.
Very well, Captain. This way, your royalness. Please follow me. And I will take them to their pre-approved cabin.
Yep. So as you kind of pass by the ship, there are 5 grung, who were the lazy guys, but they're now tying lots of knots. There are 5 lizard folk who are moving crates. They seem to be packing stuff up, what looks like food, other supplies. You see there are 6 kobolds meandering and tinkering about with different devices. And you notice that there are... make me a perception check, Norm and Sam. And Chris, you already know about these people, but I will describe them when you...
A whole 7 this time.
Great.
15.
Perfect. So as you kind of walk by that, like almost like shaman-esque tent that is opened up, you see a female dragonborn with like one milky eye. She has like sigils almost like woad across half of her face where that one eye is. And she is speaking to another turtlekin who looks younger, opposed to being a medium size. He is small. And you see he's wearing similar outfit, though he doesn't have as many like tattoos as she does. And she seems to be gesturing to the orb, and they are conversing. And so, while they'll be introduced later, for you, Chris, this is the Green Dragonborn is Speaker Kraken Nahazar de Verdance, and Kraken is with a CH. And then the second speaker, which is this turtle, and which is her apprentice, is Erga X Verdance. And so you know that just in case anything happens, or if, the speaker needs to take a long rest, there's always someone who can perform at least the minor rituals and rites to keep Otiseth happy and docile. Like, that, like, it's kind of an all-hands-on-deck situation when there are, like, big storms, or when you are attacked by other navies and pirates, but most of the time, assuming everything goes smooth, is nothing too bad.
Gotcha.
So, all right, and also like feeding time is definitely when you have to keep them in check because you don't want them diving while there's a whole crew on top of them. So generally, like that like what happens is like for feeding time, some of those crates are filled with chum, and so they chum the water so that like sharks and other predators show up, and then the dragon turtle just destroys them. But
Gotcha.
it takes a bit of time. Yeah, so you are led to a cabin that is not like well furnished, but there's a piss pot, there's all of your base amenities, and there seems to be beds that fold in, much like a ship. There is optimized space, so you kind of have your own little personal tiny home, minus a kitchen, and yeah, you have a piss pot. But besides that, it seems like bed. There's a desk that's bolted to the wall for like writing. All of this stuff can be folded and bolted in foot lockers.
Did the captain say Chris's character's name when he told him to come take us here, or no?
Nope.
Okay. Chris, is your character saying anything when we get here, or are you just like opening a door quietly?
Well, I opened the door and I just said, "Your quarter is your royalness," and I like clearly don't like I'm actually trying to pay you respect, but I clearly don't know like how it's supposed to be done. So I'm like taking my hand and multiple rolling it and bowing, but I have not introduced myself yet.
I thank you for your assistance. What is your name, sailor?
Oh, I am known as Eloy Ex Verdens, Your Royalness. So if you have anything that you may need, please feel free to call upon me.
I am pleased to meet you, Eloy. You may call me Otiseth.
Of course. And your friend?
I am Patron.
A pleasure to meet you as well, Petron. If either of you need anything, you call for Eloy. I will come running.
Are you still like bleeding? Just out of curiosity. Like, what?
I'm bleeding and tuning, and like I have like when I open the door, I still have my loot in my hand. Like my swords are already hung on my shell, but I'm like bleeding all over my loot, which clearly has blood stains on it also. Like old ones and obviously now new ones. But yeah, I'm just bleeding and I don't seem to care.
Gene, do I have any idea? Can I assess how wounded he is?
Yeah, make a medicine
scale of, like-
check. Make a medicine check.
I got a 19.
Yeah.
I'm bloodied, but I'm not close to death. But 2 more hits would have probably done me in.
All right. You guys can see my rolls, right?
No.
No. I'll roll in roll 20 then.
whatever. You could just. I don't care.
All right, whatever.
Just roll it.
I can see anyway. I can see Norm's in D&D Beyond, so I was wondering if you could see mine. He will. Otiseth will extend his hand,
I will take it.
and I will. He will shake your hand, but also cast Cure Wounds at 2nd level.
Are you, Sam? Are you disguising this in any way? That like, because like you know that like in Khazralia, like there are not really a lot of clerics of divine of the gods. It's all about not subjugation. But there are clerical divine powers of like law and order. But you do have a very specific holy symbol. So like, not a lot of people know that you can do what you do.
Okay, that's good to know.
Like there's nothing saying you couldn't say, like, because there are still druids, there are still divine paladins of like oath of conquest and like ideals, but you definitely know that your specific divinity, your calling that you received, only happened recently.
Yeah, I might wait then
Okay.
until it's more urgent.
Okay.
I'll still shake your hand.
Okay, yeah,
Maybe you won't heal yet.
As you shake his hand, you hear the scuttling of this tiny turtlekin kind of head up behind you. Hey, Eloy, are you okay, buddy?
Oh, this is just scratches, more scars.
Well-
It's cool.
Okay, yeah, but I heard about the fight. Everyone's talking about it. Especially Diane and Unrung and Dis and Arnrian and Parap, which are all the Grung. They've just been talking. They watched the whole thing. So, I came over. I want to make sure you're okay. You see his sigils on his eyes glow, and he does cure wounds on.
Okay.
As you know that the speakers being of a druidic order style, them using divine magic, not weird. And you know that he is probably an apprentice. So he will heal you for 6 hit points. He goes,
It is very kind of you, small one.
"Oh, thank you, sir." And he's not making eye contact. As you can tell that this is a younger turtlekin, and he doesn't understand fully what your presence means, but he definitely sees the patch, the emblem you wear on your chest.
Yeah, I'll say, thank you so much, Erga. I appreciate it. These will heal up very nicely, the very prominent scars. Thank you so much.
He goes, "One day maybe I'll have some scratches on my shell too." As his shell is clean and pristine and not. And to describe these, most of the turtlekin you see in Khazralia are similar to snapping turtles and more like dragon turtles themselves, opposed to your normal turtles that are more like tortoises. He kind of scampers off, and he goes, "Oh, sir, when are you ready?" And he kind of looks to you, Otiseth. "Oh, when would you like to set off?" The captain's asking.
As soon as possible.
Okay. Is that now or a few hours?
Yes.
Okay. And he you see him shrink into his shell, and then slowly the hands and legs skirtle off, and then he pops back out, and he runs over to the speaker's tent.
That boy is never going to get any scars at this rate.
All right. So a few minutes go by. Eloy, you are off you can do whatever you want as you hear. So there's a watchtower also in the center of this, which is kind of used your crow's nest or your lookout point. And there's a bell in it. And the bell begins ringing 2 or 3 beats. Norm, you recognize this as a sailor call, which is hey, get ready for setting sail. We leave within the hour. You also know this too, Eloy, and you know that you have duties to perform.
All right, I have to go kick some kobolds in the ass to get this turtle going. I shall return.
Basically, I'll follow Eloy out the door, kind of scan around, and then close the door if I'm pretty confident that we're alone and out of earshot of others.
Make me a perception check.
$13.
You definitely see a small kobold hiding behind some barrels with eyes of curiosity, but not doing a very good job.
All right, I'll walk over to him and eat it.
And he just scrambles off. "I got things to fix," and a wrench and something pops off from his belt.
Okay, after he goes, I'll step back in, kind of look around the room to see if anything's amiss, so I can engage in private conversation.
With your perception, it seems like everything is copacetic. You don't see a lot of bolt holes. There's only one door in and out. It's kind of built like a small cabin.
Okay. I do not trust this Eloy. He feigns respect for you. He mocks you. He is one I must watch carefully. I suggest you do the same.
This is a sound observation. None of these crew can truly be trusted.
Rest assured, I will watch them carefully. As I told you previously, I'm trained as a sailor, and I'll notice if anything is unusual, and I will be on my guard.
This is good. Our mission is of the utmost importance to the future stability of the Empire. We cannot fail.
We won't fail.
All right. So over the next hour, they essentially you watch the five grung. They're carrying 3 of them are carrying this large basket, and they are walking across the head of Otiseth, and they lower the basket gingerly with ropes and like pulleys, and it's full of like fish and other things. And you watch them like Otiseth begin feeding voraciously. The basket's destroyed in the middle of this feeding. As you can tell, it's more for their safety to lower something. And it's just like, whoop, whoop, and then they kind of like let go of the ropes and head back along the head. You see, the kobolds seem to be fastening things down. Eloy is kind of shouting orders now that he's the boatswain. The boatswain being like, you get there. And I will give you some names you over here. You can write these down. You don't have to. I have a lot of fucking names for you. So, to be fair, how about this? I will be nice, and I will pop them into our Discord. But, I will read them for the people listening, because there is a lot. They're going to be in the Lost Legacy channel. There we go. So you now know what's the fuck is up. So, as I said before, there's a green dragonborn female named Speaker Kraken Nahazar Deverdance. She's an older female green dragonborn. She is like kind of a druidess / thing that has this kind of bond with this dragon turtle, keeping it docile and under control. But there might be more to that. You met the second speaker, which is another turtlekin, but he seems like a child. He is named second speaker Ierga X Verdance, aka X Verdance, meaning he works for the Verdance group. He is not of blood. Then you met the lizard folk captain, who is a male lizard folk who wears a jaunty hat but has like almost like a Rob Liefeld amount of pouches and shit strapped to him, but doesn't actually wear clothing. And he is Captain Drusk X Verdance. There are 5 grung. One is named Dien, Enrung, Diis, Enrien, and Prap. Then you have the 5 lizard folk of varying genders and non-genders, because they're lizards. You have Bisk, Kak, Karax, Zotux, and Rotalt. Oh yeah, weird names. Don't worry, they're about to get better. And then we have our 6 kobold inventors, sorcerers, weird dragon people. We have we have Grer Grumblescar, Grex Simplemaw, Neg Stormfoot. The leader of this, the lead engineer is Vrux Broadblower. You have Crocs Rockblood and Vriss Redfoot. And,
Otiseth, I recommend you don't write their names down. For us, they'll just be you.
This is sound advice. There were many names.
Yeah, and they are introduced, but there's a lot of people spoke to you. And then obviously you are now introduced to Bosun Eloy X Verdance, a turtlekin with many a scar and apparently some magic. And there used to be another bosun who was Tangrask, but he's dead. So they're definitely down a crew member, but it seems like they'll be fine. They just don't have a second in command. And you as a sailor, Norm, would know that the speakers both act as like tamers of the dragon turtle, but they also are like navigators because they use the stars, and they can also control water and the elements and storms. So like they kind of do a little bit of an all-purpose helping things go smoother.
From watching the crew, do I have an assessment as to their abilities? Do they seem to be well trained? Or
Give me an insight check.
best I can get on that is a 10.
Okay. To your eye, they seem like they're doing well. I mean, the captain is, standing and shouting, and you notice that Eloy is like picking up mistakes and kind of also like, kind of like tapping a small beat that seems to help people kind of stay on track. And they move like a crew, like they've been sailing for a bit.
Okay.
You notice that you don't notice any issues with the Otiseth, which is the dragon turtle. It seems to be docile after feeding. You notice that the lizard folk begin untying the mooring to the docks, and within an hour's time, you begin moving away from the shores of Casralia.
Can I ask a quick FYI?
Yes.
Would Norm or my character know? Does this seem like an appropriate travel arrangement for people of our status, or does it seem like intentionally insulting or anything like that?
You can make me an insight or history check, and Norm, you can just make me an insight check if you are concerned.
Okay. 17.
Okay.
$14.
Okay. So with a 14, I mean, you figured there are a few options to get out of Casralia.
Mhm.
One is to go through the underground tunnels and fight through a bunch of dwarves, which you guys still have a tenuous issue with, but they definitely wouldn't let you pass through, so you'd have to find like caves and other secret ways to get past their guard, which would probably require a huge exposition, a large amount of forces committed. Not a problem, but that could also aggravate your very tenuous truce.
Mhm.
You could go over the mountains, but then you'd have to be dealing with like raiders, giant kin, and other threats of climbing a mountain. This is likely the safest option and the most discreet. For you, Norm, since there was no like parade, there was no announcement, they are definitely keeping this operation discreet. So whatever that means for you two as a group, but you would think that there should have been some pomp. There shouldn't have like minimum there should have been like a parade because a hero is leaving to do a cause. But there was.
As a bodyguard, I don't like pomp, so this is working out perfectly for me so far.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, for you, this kind of like, so like part of it's like due to Otiseth's station, there should have been pomp and circumstance. Due to maybe the delicateness of this mission, discrepancy, being quiet, moving without notice might also be important, because if there are spies, if there are agents working in different ways, like this, like him just entering a boat, like, yeah, some people may have noticed it, but like he should have a contingent of guards with him. He should have you and a few others of your order, but he doesn't. So like clearly this is clearly a keeping this on the hush hush for whatever reason.
Got it. So there's something obvious. This is not an obvious and intentional like insult.
And again, as you're kind of thinking of this, as like, that your great aunt does not do anything like her namesake. Everything is tactical. Everything is a calculated plan, and that this is another calculation, another chess piece moved on a board that you don't fully know.
Right.
All right.
So as we're basically leaving the docks, And I'm playing like a jaunty tune on the lute, but I'm also using like my claws and my heavy fingers as percussion on the lute also. So it's giving that kind of like not only just a jaunty tune, but there's also like a beat to it. And I'll call out and I'll say, "What do you call 200 dead dwarves at the bottom of the sea? A damn good start. Let's get this turtle moving."
There's a cheer as all of them kind of chuckle and everyone. So another bell signal rings for takeoff, and before that happens, Otiseth, again, Iarga kind of scampers up to your cabin, and you hear a light rapping at your door.
I'll open the door. Yes.
Hey guys, your liegeness, if you wish, Speaker Kraken wanted you to invite you to be part of the takeoff, but at your discretion.
Excellent. Thank you.
Where?
Uh,
Is it obvious where we would go? What
Yeah,
that
you-
means? Like, do we walk to like the turtle's
Yeah.
butt and then we
No,
just stand there?
you head to the tent where she has that orb.
Okay.
And you notice that as you kind of look out, the tent flaps have been rolled up to the top. You notice that the spike walls that are raised in like this fortress maneuver are now all down, so they're points out. So if anything were to sail toward this, there's like a 5-foot gap of like spike topped walls. As you know that you pull them up for defense, and they're down also in case there are things that bump in, so they don't hurt the dragon turtle. Seems like they have a clever pulley system and like different ways to make this like a mobile fortress, different ways for speed. You know, the sails are up, and as you guys are slowly drifting away from the shore, you notice the older dragonborn with the pale eye and tattoos. She goes, "Please, join me. And the captain is also standing there, and Eloy, you are also invited because you are the first mate now, essentially. You got
I just
rapid
look
promotion.
towards Norm's character and nod, and then start heading over. Once he acknowledges that
Okay.
this is the plan. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you guys move over, and she kind of nods to you, and the captain tips his hat once more, reverently, and goes, Well, so we know that there's a rapid departure. We didn't get really where you wanted to go. So there are different points on the Chaldea continent that you know these people are. So on the opposite side of like the north end of the continent, which is like so far away from you, is the Bastion of the Strong, which is where this knight was. There is on the west side of the continent, a little bit toward the middle, but like still far away. There is this like ancient forest, which apparently might be where people who can get in contact with a Lanathan might be. There is more inland toward the center, which is probably your hardest points, is Pentecost, which is where the cleric might be. There's also Ralford's Wizard Tower, which has a different name, but you don't have it fully translated. It's something to do with lightning, and it's also in the middle of a desert, so that would be a little hard to get to.
It seems like getting to like the first clue we can around Nolander
Yeah.
is the best bet.
And there's also Draven's Rest, which is also near the Bastion of the Strong, but it's like over like a bluff over the ocean. But again, that's on the far side of the continent. There is the Verdant Sea, which is where apparently a lot of the little folk live, and that would be only probably a week or two travel, and you'd have to go through a swamp, and then you'd eventually hit the Verdant Sea, which is just like a prairie land full of like rolling hills, and it's also would be the opposite side of the Wormspire peaks and stuff. So it's like it's probably the closest, but you would probably not be able to get there via dragon turtle. You could probably get to the swamps and the coastline, and then you'd probably have to make it by foot.
What? So that was a lot of options. What do any of those seem like? If my character's mindset is, I don't know where these people are, but like obviously tracking down the gnome is the most obvious, like, of the heroes to try to track down first.
So he's the only one that you don't have a location.
Perfect.
But some of the others kind of have locations. So the answer is you think that the Verdant Sea would likely be an option because that is where a lot of the little folk happens. It's just that also touches the Wormspire mountainside. So as long as you stay from the dwarven side, like the mountain touching area, you'll likely be okay, but you do run the risks of dwarves. And whether that's great, bad, or not, because you don't know how bad they would be if you showed up, but they definitely don't like your people. And the northern side where like Draven's Rest is and Bastion's Stronghold is, you know that the captain will inform you, well, there's also a group of pirates that operate out of there. They're known as Freeport. Kind of spits on the ground. We've encountered them as they sail the seas wide and far, but there's threats. Other issues we sometimes run into. There are bunch of demonkin that occupy islands throughout the water masses, and they're into some weird shit.
Let's do our best to sail around the dwarven lands and get as close to the small folk as we can.
Aye, aye. And he kind of nods, and Speaker Kraken goes, "Hello, my child. I will do my best." And she kind of like pets the orb, and you see it kind of glow and hum, and kind of like a mood ring. It like shifts in color until it comes to like a nice placid blue. She goes, well, so be it. And as she like touches down, her eye glows, the tattoos light up, and you hear as you hear just like these loud fins, and you guys lurch forward. At that time, the captain goes, "Lower the sail," and starts like calling out wind direction. You know, people begin moving as, you know, this is a creature that swims all its life, but you need to pace it and you need to time things. So they kind of catch a wind to help balance. There's no rudder on this ship because it has fins. And like certain sails are put down and raised, and you guys take a bit off the coastline to hit some trade seas like that flow faster to get you kind of like slingshotting around the continent.
Gene, I'm watching Otiseth carefully. Can I tell if he's trained as a sailor, depending upon, you know, how you allocate your weight to kind of be more...
You can absolutely make an insight check.
All right.
Or perception, your choice. Not a hard DC.
They're both the same for me.
Also, Sam, why don't you make me a con save? Because this is probably
con.
the first time you've ever been on a boat.
Well, I rolled a 12.
I rolled a 13, but like this, I think like the con save part of it maybe, but like it should be pretty obvious.
Oh no!
No idea what
he has no idea what is happening as he kind of lurches, like you grab the fucking pole that is the like the orb that is touching it because it's very sturdy. As you steady yourself, you don't like throw up. You don't have like too much of an upset stomach because you've been in situations. You've been in tunnel collapses. You've been in mudslides. You're an archaeologist. You've been through things that are shifting terrain. So that lurching forward wasn't so bad. But he has no sea legs.
Yeah, I imagine it's like,
sea legs.
To anybody who has any idea what's going on, it's obvious that like he has no idea what's going on or like has not dealt with this at all, but is like trying to / maybe actually looking calm as a cucumber while he's like
Yeah.
fucking freaking out at the same time.
I'll basically utter out one, like a little bit of a laugh, but kind of cut it short, you know?
Yeah. People go silent if they see.
Everybody except me. I'll go over to Otiseth and I'm like, "Oh, your Royal Highness, please, if you just..." And I'll hold my hand out to kind of like help him steady himself.
It is quite all right. I need to learn this on my own.
Very well.
As you look around, Otiseth, you realize that most people on this ship, they are not wearing shoes. You notice like the lizard man captains and the lizard folk, their claws are like dug in. The grung seem to be sticking. Even, Eloy is not wearing shoes and maybe has tarred feet or his claws are sharpened in. You notice that people seem to be like gripping in a strange way because you wear shoes and stuff. Like you don't have to. Oh no, you don't wear shoes, but you notice.
No, but he has there's nothing special on his feet to stick to anything
but
better.
You notice that like they seem to be a little bit more acclimated to like using their toe claws and the grips on their feet. And heck, as you look down, Norm's character also seems to have that natural grace and flow like he belongs.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like the only person that is clearly not capable. Though the weird thing you notice is that the kobolds have strange things attached to their feet. They have like weird grips and like tarring. They have strange mechanisms, some of them attached. And they're using their tails occasionally to like wrap as well and hold. All right.
Got it. So I'm the one person on the subway that has to hang on to the bar, but everybody else seems to be okay.
Yep,
Got it.
Pretty much. And you guys begin sailing. A few hours go by. Daily ship things. People. You notice a few people. So there's like a large mess hall, kind of like a Viking hall. It's probably like this. This creature is probably like 30-40 feet in directions. So there's like a 10 or 20 foot home. Like you notice that there's a small town kind of built around on the inside with like all space is very efficiently used, and things can be like unscrewed, they can be taken down, put up. And you begin making your first day into travel. A bell is rung, which signifies midday. You notice that a bunch of the shifts change because, like, not everyone is awake at the same time because that's not how boats work. And like you notice that the kobolds seem to be asleep because it's daylight, and they likely are probably the night crew. And the first ringing happens, and you notice that there seems to be people shuffling to the large, like there's a large like longhouse. Or like a yurt kind of situation, and Eloy, you would know that this is the mess.
This is probably my favorite place of the whole ship.
And as you're kind of Eloy, you have now kind of been unofficially assigned as the liaison between Otiseth, because the captain doesn't want to deal with him because he has to then like put on airs and stuff, and he doesn't want to do that. And so as the bosun, your new job is to make sure that Otiseth's needs are taken care of for while they are aboard Ozit.
All right, so I'll go up to Otis and Patron and it's like, all right, so let us come and have some food. I'll take you to the mess hall, and please feel free to to eat as much as you like. There's plenty for everyone. And I'll take them to the mess. Yeah, I'll take them to the mess. And I'll grab like the biggest plates, even though all the plates are the same size.
Yeah.
I look at it, I spit on them, and then I just kind of like rub it on my chest. Say, there we are, nice and clean. And based on the other plates, it is now cleaner.
Yeah, and as you guys are moving, you see the grungs on these like strange pull contraptions that hang off the sides of Otiseth, and they are pulling a device on a pulley system, and you see like nets of fish that they are like catching as they sail at speed, and they're hauling them up, dumping them, processing, and in the kitchen, you see there's a small mess hall. People, some of the crew are eating here and there. You notice that the speaker Kraken is sitting by herself, and she has a bowl with what looks like a fish stew, and there's some bread that's not moldy yet. And yeah. You see it.
So basically, I'll lead Otiseth in line and kind of show him without like saying this is what I'm doing, to kind of give him like a go by on what the proper protocols are, because I don't want him to. I don't want him to embarrass us.
All right. You see Bisk. She's standing there, and there's like a cauldron, over a fire, and she kind of like. She like reaches her hand out, like her tail kind of scoops your plate, and she like scoops in. You see a bread kind of like ration. She like chops it with her claw, puts it in, and passes it, and essentially done pretty efficiently, as you know that Bisk is the cook. She's the ship's cook.
Got it. Yeah, and this will follow Patron's lead, because he doesn't understand the like mechanics of how this works on a ship, but he doesn't seem particularly off-put by like eating rations.
Yeah, you trained in the army. You've eaten.
He's an archaeologist. He's a soldier. Like yeah, this is
you've trained
like
in a
that
mess.
Part of it is not, but like the like how does a ship work?
Yeah,
is
because like I'll say this, Otiseth, it's a little confusing because you don't know what to do. Like clearly,
exactly.
You don't know where you fit, and it doesn't look like anyone's asking you to fit because you are a dignitary. So you might be a little uncomfortable because, especially with like the raising of the Khazralian Empire, where like service, shows your worth. You're also like, I'm here and I'm important, and while this is not unnormal, you are generally the least important person in your important household, but you're still important. And so you guys gather your food. The hall has a few people. If there's anyone you want to specifically interact with, you can let me know. But the only person of note that I'm not adding unless you ask for them is Kraken. Speaker Kraken seems to be eating.
About how many people would you say are in the mess now?
I would say probably half. I would say maybe a quarter, because that a quarter eat. Then they go back on while the other group takes a break, and then probably the next shift you'll change completely, because you essentially have, I imagine, 3 staggered shifts.
Right. Okay.
If Patron takes the lead on where to sit down, he'll follow. If not, he will walk to the only other dragonkin here and sit down.
Okay. She sidles over because you notice there are benches. Everything is bolted down. And she goes, "How are you finding the journey?"
I enjoy the parts of the ship that are attached to the ship. And he pats on the bench that he's sitting on.
She nods. Maybe if there comes to a low point, I could wish I could choose, and you could speak with Otiseth.
Who says it?
The turtle dragon.
Oh. I will let you know if I have such a need.
She nods reverently. Well, things are going well. Seems like, and she kind of like like you notice that like she kind of like her eye flashes for a second. Goes, it seems like we are traveling under wind power now. So Otiseth is resting his fins. He like nods to you, Norm, as well. She goes, "How are you doing?"
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
If I'm sure that if you are bored, I'm sure the captain would not mind an extra seasoned sailor. And she kind of like looks at your hands and notices like the calluses and like your appropriate movement. But you are a guest. If
I will certainly make myself available should I be needed.
goes, Eloy, it is always a pleasure to meet you. I'll tell you, Otiseth was telling me how, which was the song you sung? I think it was about a kobold and a halfling feast. I don't recall the words, but Otiseth liked the beat.
Yes, that was a good one. I have a good joke. It's a small story, but I have a good one about the foolishness of dwarves. I can tell it to you later if you wish.
She nods as she seems to be making conversation, and I will say this: like Eloy, it is not uncommon. You know that while the dragon turtle can speak Draconic and do all that, he doesn't really often speak to anyone but her. But he does seem to calm and enjoy at least some of your louder songs or your percussion that he can feel or hear. But a lot of times his head is under the water, so unless you're doing something super loud or like playing it in an area that would reverberate. But yeah, like sometimes I imagine you kind of like I imagine at night there are sometimes like you sit on his head raised, like strumming your fucking like lute, and you occasionally hear like a as it like enjoys because it's a living sentient creature.
Right, and I'm not like I imagine also that I try out some of my newer material on Ozit because even if he doesn't like it,
some of
what's he gonna do? Kill us all?
You played one and your string snapped and like steam came out of his nostrils as he didn't like whatever that sharp sound was. But yeah, no, you have a decent relationship with as much of a relationship as you want with Otiseth, as you've been on this ship probably a few years at this point, if not more.
Yep. No worries.
He goes, we are making decent time. What is time of the essence, or are we making just a normal pace?
I would not want to put our host in jeopardy, but time is of the essence.
She nods. She goes, I have had the strangest feeling as recently. When I awoke this morning, though the clouds are clear, sense a storm. And like, yeah. Anyone wants to like make a survival check? You can to like look up and like notice what you would of the weather pattern.
Oh,
I have a 15.
Okay.
16.
Okay. Dude, the skies are clear. You have no signs. There are no clouds. There's nothing telling you. You don't see, seabirds or anything flying away. For all signs point to a clear day and clear travels.
I cannot speak to the weather on the seas, but the coming winds across the world do indeed bring a storm.
She nods. But yeah, she continues eating. And unless there's anything of importance you would like to bring up, she seems content making the conversation she did.
I'll ask Otis, like, So I'm just curious for my own satisfaction. Where we are going, will we be fighting a lot of smooth skins, or will they be giving us any problems that we might need to, you know, convince them of our superiority?
This is a reasonable inquiry. There are certain individuals that need to be found. It is unclear to me at this time how much resistance we will meet in seeking them out.
All right. Well, if it comes to it, you have my swords and whatever knowledge I can share to help you in your endeavor.
As I appreciate, for succeeding on this quest is for the good of our empire.
Very well.
All right. Yeah, you guys kind of finish your meals. And duty is gotten back to Otiseth again. Probably a little bored. Because you don't really have anything to do up here.
Yeah.
Though they are being hosts, and unless you're asking for anything, they don't.
The one thing Otiseth will try to do is get a feel for like where the crew has been recently.
Okay.
Because like I'm trying to find people that like I really have very little idea. Like I have some like vague direction where they might be, but like maybe the crew was just at one of these ports and like would have some useful intel.
Sure.
But rather than directly asking them, I'm trying to feel out like is it even worth asking about?
Make me an insight check.
Sure.
Hey.
7.
You have no idea, because you, in fact, have never left the Khazralian Empire, and most of the stuff you've read are in very biased history books. So, just like American public school. Shots fired.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, you kind of don't really get a good read on the crew, but, a day goes by where it's like it kind of shifts over to the nighttime, and you're a little like antsy in your pantsy, like not knowing what to do. Like maybe you took a nap here and there. Like you're just getting a feel for this new change. And as the night shift kind of starts taking their round, the kobolds are very talkative. There's lots of chirping and clicks and draconic, speaking about like fun things and hoping that they can test out the new modification they put on the ballista. And and you also know that kobolds, while free, were some of the most subjugated peoples to the dragon beings, so that they still seem to have some of those subjugated tendencies, like easier to fold under pressure, though these kobolds have a lot more of their draconic legacy forward. They will likely defer to you, but you're not sure.
Got it.
I'm also going to spend some time with Otiseth, just tell him the basics of the ship. I know it's a lot to cover, but at least like the directions, like port, starboard, aft, fore, and just kind of giving him general things in case he hears there's something. This way he has a general idea of where to look.
Okay, Sam, make me an intelligence check. Just straight intelligence plus a d20. You're a pretty smart person.
19.
Honestly, you're a book learner. You're a military brat. Like you pick up on terms and quick shorthand phrases like a champ. I will say this, that though you are not proficient in sailing, if there's any checks that require you to make some sort of sea checks, you will be able to do them at advantage. You won't be proficient, but you will be able to at least be like, ah, I remember that exact phrase, depending on the situation.
Got it.
So you kind of start listening. Are you sticking with him the entire time, Norm?
Yes, unless he has a reason for like dismissing me for anything. But
Okay.
Mhm.
Otis.
I would like to go talk to the kobolds.
Okay. There is a group of them. Are you looking for an underling or the head engineer?
Do they all have the special stuff on their feet?
Oh yeah.
Then yeah, the head. I'll just talk to the head kobold.
Okay. So you see this female kobold. She has dragon wings, and she seems to have like red dragon scales dotting her like face, almost kind of like she has like that like dull green olive, but like red scales coming up over her head, and like almost like an additive. But clearly it's her natural scales. But it seems like they're not like completely natural. And she's like, all right, get there. Okay. Tweak that. Oh no, it's coming. Oh, and you're, oh, that's fine. That's normal. And just, oh gosh. And she's like, Grrr, that's your work. I expect better. And he's like, and he fucking runs off and begins fixing. And she
I just have to walk up and just sort of like stand over her. It's like, good evening.
Her wings flutter as she kind of like takes a foot back. Oh, good evening. I am Vrux Broadblower, head engineer and carpenter, and pretty much anything that needs to go fixed. You are our delegate.
Indeed.
Well, what can I do? And she kind of like hovers up, so she's at like eye level with you, with her wings kind of flapping. Well, what can I do for you? And she kind of like her fucking like she like rubs her clawed hands on her smock, grease all over, new grease stains and old grease stains. It does not clean it at all.
I would like to know what you and your kin have done to your feet.
Oh, okay. Well, we kind of the best way. Well, we kind of took the idea of like caltrops, but like mesh them so that the pointy sides are only at the bottom, and so they like help dig in, because like the Ozit's back is more like dirt, because like you can like plant trees and stuff. They're kind of like islands. It's a really strange mechanism. Okay, not important. And she starts like rambling for a moment, but like catches her as your eyes kind of like flash close for a moment. She's like, okay. She kind of like pulls up her foot now that she's flying, and you notice she kind of has like this like 3-ringed thing that kind of goes over 3 of her claws and attaches to her ankle, and kind of creates like a net that is like tight to the bottom of her foot, only like a centimeter or 2, where you see occasional protrusions on the outside, and on the interior is kind of like flat cushioned masses beneath them. So like when it presses, you're not just pressing hard metal into your foot.
Can you create a pair of these that will fit me?
1 second. She kind of like she reaches into one of her various pouches. She like throws out a spring, a cog, a wrench. There we go. And you see this like dirty, disgusting measuring tape. And she kind of hovers down to your feet. I need you to raise your foot, sir. Hold on, wait. And she grabs a stool that she was using to like stand on. Please put your foot up.
He'll pick his foot up and put it.
For a moment, you take because you're still moving on the ocean. But she okay. So she wraps the stuff around each of your claws, and you notice that she kind of like pulls. You see she's wearing a bracer on her arm, but in the wrong way. So like the thick side is on her forearm, and she kind of pulls out like a chalk and starts writing down measurements. And then she kind of measures around your ankle, the length of your foot. Okay. Give me like an hour.
All right, I have another question for you.
1 second. She goes, Frogs! And you see another one of the kobolds scamper up. She kind of like touches the bracer and flicks her claw toward him, and you see his bracer glow, and the measurements that were there kind of erased from hers and appear on his. She goes,
Cool.
I got a work order for you. Go take care of that. And he goes, all right,
Awesome.
all right, Mom. And he like salutes and scrambles somewhere. And you hear clank, 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 clank as like he goes somewhere and shit starts getting weird. And she goes, all right, yeah, I'm free up now. What can I help you with?
What was the name of the place we told the captain to go? I can't remember.
So there's these like swamp
It
lands.
was like a swamp. Yeah.
I forgot the name of it, but
Okay.
yeah, there's these swamp lands, and you're gonna land near the swamp on the shortest part to cross over it to get to the Verdant Sea.
Got it.
When was the last time you sailed near the Verdant Sea?
Oh, that's pretty inland. I mean, we sailed all around Chaldea. We haven't been over to Versia yet. That place is a bit far and a little weird. But I mean, generally, we kind of make a circuit around the other way, which is we take the long way. There's not a lot to see when you're going up the side mountain, unless you want to see some weird magic shit and you want to see the rift that's filled with water. That's cool, I guess. But yeah, we kind of sail around. We see like Draven's Rest, and we also see Freeport. There's some islands here and there. There's a volcano. You know, nothing important. And then we kind of sail around. There's a big forest. It's huge, full of elves, I imagine. And then we keep going, and you know, then it kind of turns into this like swamp marsh. And if you can get past the swamp marsh, you can get to the Verdant Sea. What's nice is there is a small town, but they're full of some weird pink skin.
Weird in what capacity?
Well, it's like they chose one type of pink skin and then kept breeding it until it was stupid. And now it's just like they're all stupid. Well, I mean, a lot of people are stupid compared to me.
This just sounds like flesh folk.
Yeah, but they all kind of look the same, which also sounds like flesh folk, but they look
Indeed, it does.
They look more the same than most. But they have a small like town and dock on the sea, and they're the kind of the best way to travel through the swamp. And some of the merchants from the Verdant Sea travel there who are more willing to trade with us. They got some of the rarer metals from the dwarf.
I see. So we will travel to this town with the identical fleshlings, and they are that which are most equipped to take us across the swamp.
Yeah, it's kind of like and she kind of like points to like the orb tent area. They kind of like got like a weird bond with like the swamp and nature itself over there. They're
bog whisperers.
yeah, it's honestly a good way to think of it. Yeah, they whisper with the bog.
Do you trust them?
Oh no, I don't trust anyone. That's not us and the Empire. But
Indeed.
they have not done anything untrade, and they don't seem allied with the other human nation. So they kind of keep to themselves, but also not, I don't think, on purpose. But I'm not sure, honestly. We don't really get a lot of. They don't have a lot of things we want, but they do make it easy that we can get trade from at least part of the inland.
Otis will just turn towards Patron and Eloy and not say anything. And just sort of look at the two of you.
But she kind of like, she just takes a moment, like, so I'm gonna get back to work. And she kind of starts scooping up things. Yeah, we got two ballistas on each side and one on the back. They're a little modified, but everything's fine. And she just it starts moving her way out of this conversation.
I'm currently sitting on some barrels and crates, still playing with my loot.
Yeah, you're kind of off duty now. Like your shift is up. You kind of have like a 12-hour R&R time that's sometimes split up between shifts, but sometimes you kind of do a full day work and then you take off the rest. So it's now currently your free time.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I look at Otis and I'm like, yeah, it's best not to ask with all the modifications. Just trust them. They do good work. Occasionally things break in strange ways, but no one gets hurt. At least no one that shouldn't get hurt gets hurt.
I understand.
And he nods.
So I think, unless you guys want to do anything else, I think we are going to take our break. I got stuff planned, but I don't want to rush into it too quickly. So we're going to take a break. I say let's get back by 10 o'clock, and we'll try to wrap around 10:30.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so 10 o'clock, we'll be back. Thank you all for watching, and I'll switch this over to break. All right. We are back. Pew pew pew. So, the first night goes by uneventfully, unless you want something to happen. Like if you're gonna search or you're gonna investigate people. But unless you're doing anything special, all seems to go according to plan. So the next day finds you, Otiseth, give me a con save. Start of the day.
$13.
You're fine. I actually also need you. If you look at your magic item, I think there's a charisma save. Can you also make me that as well?
Is it just a straight charisma save, or is
I'm
it?
pretty sure it
should I
is.
look at it?
There's a DC in the magic item. I think it's a 13. And you're a cleric, so you'll probably make it. But just for shits and giggles, just give me a saving throw.
It's a DC 14.
Cool. So that's the save number. Just, you think you have some strange dreams that night. I'd really like that.
I got an 11.
Awesome. Okay. First things first. Could you make me a stealth check?
Can I make you a stealth check?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Sure.
I know you have disadvantage because you wear lots of heavy armor, or you might not. I don't know.
Do I?
I don't know. You might not. If you're
It
wearing
doesn't.
if you're wearing
say I
a
do in my
breastplate, I think
spells.
you're fine.
Yeah. I'm not. I got a 9. I'm just not
Cool.
good at.
I'm gonna actually spend my DM inspiration. Could you re-roll that for me?
Sure.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
I got a 7.
Okay. Cool. Great. Hey, Norm, what's your passive perception?
Okay, let's take a look. See. 14.
So you go to sleep for the night, and Otiseth wakes up in the middle of the night. Kind of like, stretches, and he gets up, and he kind of like coughs a little bit, and he heads toward the door.
I'm definitely interested in this. If he can going to put himself in harm's way.
Do you make do you say anything like you notice him getting up, or do you just kind of let him go?
No, kind of let him go. If he steps out, then I'll pat off after him to keep an eye on him.
Okay. He gets up, and he heads out the door. Are you following him stealthily or obviously?
Obviously, I think he's going somewhere or
Okay,
whatever to use the head or whatever.
He kind of turns to you and he goes, "Go back to sleep. I want to stretch my legs."
Very well. I'll walk back to where the room is, but I'll still watch him until he's out of my sight.
Okay. Make me an insight check, and Sam, make me a deception check with the charisma of your item, and you are proficient in deception.
Okay.
I have a 21.
$18.
Okay. So first thing you notice is like all of that sounds legit. He is walking like he belongs on this ship. And that's the only thing that gives you a slight pause. He says that. And he begins heading kind of toward the speaker's tent, as he kind of seems to be meandering his way.
He seems to be okay, obviously, right?
Yeah, and he seems to have gotten his sea legs. Really impressive for such short time. It's a little odd to you. It's like, he he moved, and you definitely saw that he was putting on the airs of like rulership and like showing like face to make sure he didn't embarrass people. But like people don't acclimate that quickly.
I'll still kind of stay to the room. I won't go all the way in. I'll keep as alert as I can be. Then I will be using stealth then, because I don't want to obviously be caught defying him.
Okay, make me a stealth check. And Sam, what's your passive perception?
Roll to 12. Are there any?
13.
There is one group inspiration if you'd like to use it.
I'm gonna take that baby for this.
All right. It's not important. Why would you do that? Everything seems fine.
14.
Cool. You beat his passive perception. So
It's equal to my passive.
Oh, it's equal. Ooh.
14. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know if who tie goes to, but
Generally tie goes to the offender, but he essentially needs to beat your passive perception. Like, you're not rolling perception against him, he's rolling against your number. So 14 meets, so it does not.
does it change based on the item stats?
Yes, use your item's wisdom.
Okay. That is lower than mine.
Okay, so then he'll beat you because
he would beat it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, he doesn't notice anything. So you notice that Otiseth kind of looks around slyly, which seems a little strange and not him. And as he does, he ducks into the speaker's tent.
Okay. Interesting.
Do you follow him to see, or do you kind of just watch the tent?
There's too many things unusual, so I have to work my way over, because
Okay.
I don't know what else is on this ship that could affect him.
Let me roll. I'm just gonna roll a check to see if any of the crew notice you.
Is it cool to say that Eloy sleeps in the crow's nest?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're asleep. What's your passive perception for Eloy?
It's 11.
Yeah. Yeah, you're fucking good. Yeah, the crew seems to be going about their business, and honestly, they're kobolds, so they just defer to a dragonborn moving through and say nothing and act like nothing's happening, because that's what's best. And they don't seem to notice you, Norm.
Okay.
And you notice that Otiseth slips into the tent. Right now, there's no one manning the orb of like that, contacts. And as you kind of like peek around the corner, Otis's hand on the orb, and it seems to change to a gold, and his eyes seem to glow gold for a second. A moment goes by. There seems to be a glow coming slightly from his chest, and then within a moment, fades, and he just kind of stands up. Heads back towards your cabin.
Okay, I'll go pad back to the
Make
back
me
to the room.
one more stealth check, please.
21.
With practiced ease, you are the shadow, you are the night, and you slip back into bed into the exact same position. Otiseth walks into the cabin. Well, he's technically not wearing his armor, or anything, but he goes back under the covers, goes right back to sleep, and nothing happened. Otiseth, you had the strangest dream last night. You fell asleep, heard deep within your thoughts. There is something coming. He must be prepared.
This is something I hear in my dreams, or something I hear that I can respond to?
Yeah. You're like in your dreams, and you see like this hoard, this ancient treasure hoard, kind of surrounding you. There's this large, draconic shadow that you can't quite make out. Eyes flaring gold, looming in the darkness. and this is sometimes how you have contact. And make me an insight check, Otis.
Sure.
This is going to be pretty hard.
23.
You got it. You know that when you have these dreams, often people look at you weirdly the next day and like say you've done things that you definitely haven't. And this is like where you got that like weird reputation. Where like after this month and when you found that dig, you started having dreams where you've talked to this weird being, but like the days that you like really see him at night, those next days are always the most awkward. Because people ask you questions and you really have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
So, and he goes, "This creature we ride upon is so stunted, it is weak, not provide the defense we need. They coming."
Is this something I can respond to, or is this just
you
like...
can talk to this
Who is they?
ancient foes, our people's past.
This is dragons, yes? Like
So-
that would be what my character assumes.
So what you got from your insight is that these are like the foes of dragons. So some sort of being that would have maybe equivalent power or on a level. You know what? Make me a history check. As you kind of rack your mind. And also a little bit of your items.
17.
Okay. You see flashes of an ancient and large continent that is unrecognizable. There's no rift in the center of this continent. And you are flying through the clouds and the world itself. And see a portal rent open, flame that seems too hot, too red, too many black tinges. And in a moment, you see large horns of a humanoid-esque beast begin to make its way, large fangs, glowing yellow eyes, and you snap back. What you recall, kind of glimpse a little bit. And you kind of hear a chuffing. Otiseth will be when the time comes. Kind of where your dream fades off. You wake the next morning, fully rested. Everything's super great.
Perfect.
The next morning, you hear the bell going off in alarm. Eloy, you recognize the sound of something is wrong. Not like an attack, but kind of like something is afoot on the ship. And same thing with you as well, Patron. You also you recognize this symbol. Generally, this is the ringing of if something has happened to the speaker.
I will run to the speaker's tent as quickly as I can.
As will I.
Okay. Otiseth, are you also joining as you see Patron seem to run out?
Yeah, he's gonna, like, assuming I can get up and get dressed.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you going?
There's a problem on board. I'm heading to the speaker's tent. You should come along.
Then I shall accompany you.
Okay. So as you guys get to the tent, there's a small crowd. You see the captain going, "All right, everyone, back off. Get back to your stations. We're figuring out what's going on." And he kind of like makes eye contact with you, Eloy, and sees the other two coming. Yeah. Master Deblexia, why don't you join us? This might be something of interest. And he kind of gestures, and the crew disperses, and he kind of gestures for the three of you to enter. You see, the orb seems to have flecks of gold amongst the green color it was, and you see that that Kraken is in a cot, shaking, sweat coming off her. Her eye milky, and the other eye is like rolled in her head. Her markings are like flaring and like and she kind of seems to be a little bit convulsing mixed with feverish. And you see Ierga is like putting like compresses and cloths on her head and doing what he can, it looks, for medicine.
She doesn't appear like wounded. She appears
Nope.
like there's some kind of like weird sickness overtaking her.
Correct.
Can I speak to my amulet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what this is?
She has the sickness.
Does that mean anything to me?
Nope. That's all it says.
This is the only thing that I have observed without your help. Care to elaborate?
Just go silent.
Fucking sentient thing.
It's like the equivalent of saying thank you, Captain Obvious.
The captain goes, so, I came in this morning and I found her like that. She was over the orb, and when she touched it, there was a strange flash. She collapsed. I moved her to the cot. She's been muttering words in our language, ancient words in our language that I can't quite comprehend. But she's had a fever, and she's been shaking and convulsing ever since. I mean, Otiseth doesn't seem to be acting any differently, and I haven't had Ierga look at the orb yet to make sure things are okay. I'm afraid if there's something wrong, it could infect him or something.
That is my question. That is my question, Captain. Has our course changed? Or you cannot tell.
He kind of he like looks up, and like he starts you see him kind of like, give me a moment. Let me go check some of my charts and compasses and points. But what I could tell, it doesn't seem like it. Someone else is asking stuff.
Do I have any idea like what this orb is or how one might use it?
So yeah, I mean, so this is obviously like House Verdrain's secret.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that essentially like some sort of like druidic nature magic connects these speakers with like a bond to the dragon turtle that this orb is connected to. And so they kind of use it to influence the creature's moods, communicate telepathically. And it's more than like a subjugation. It's like they become bonded. Like, and so it's like they can like impart their own emotions to like calm the turtle and all that stuff.
And I don't remember everything that happened. I only remember the bits that you told me.
Correct. The item possessed you while you were sleeping.
Got it.
Good times.
That's just gonna stand there. Like, well, I have no expertise in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like if someone had detect magic or identify, you might be able to get more information.
I do have detect magic.
That might be an ability that you could do that would help you kind of hone in on if she's suffering some sort of magic malady, or if you're looking at the item itself. Up to you.
How do I feel like I would be giving anything away other than the fact that I am a spellcaster by casting that?
I mean, you can do it ritually. You can also use a spell slot. Yeah, you don't think that, you know, yeah, someone casting detect magic, that's not the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not innately one school or the other, and so, like, you might be able to get away with it. You don't have to, like, whip out your holy symbol. You can, use the components it takes to, like, cast it.
Yeah, if I can cast it without obviously giving away that it's coming from a divine source, then I'd like to cast it.
Sure. Make me a deception check using your wisdom, your casting modifier. And then, are either of you trained in religion or arcana?
Let me check. Nope.
Okay.
As a bard,
You can,
I kind of am.
you can give me a religion or arcana because you are half good at everything. What, did you get a natural 1, Sam?
No, I rolled an 8 total. My good rolls have dried up on me.
All right.
I got a 15.
Okay. So, I mean, for you, Eloy, like, this dude casts a fucking detect magic. There's no way you would do it. Like, his ritual's not the same as, like, how you would do ritual magic. Because you have a lot more song, you have a lot more of a beat and a rhythm. Like, he definitely has a rhythm to it, which to you sounds like a chant or a prayer. But, yeah, he definitely casts detect magic. But you didn't, like, clearly see him, like, clutch a holy symbol and call to the gods. He just didn't do it in an arcane way. And there are likely other ways that people could. And to you, you're not really looking for it, so it's not like you have a reason to, like, suspect or anything.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Okay. So as you kind of finish, like, your candles and incense, and your eye and the smoke kind of reaches your, like, flaring nostrils and eyes, your eyes, like, flash gold for a moment. Again, Norm, in that familiar way, his eyes flashed gold before.
Okay.
And the world kind of erupts into magical hues. The orb itself emanates an incredible amount of magic. Just, it's almost like artifact level. And you see, like, tendrils kind of, like, interweaved all throughout the dragon turtle's body. And almost kind of seems to form, like, a bridle of magic to the creature itself. Which, like, go with, like, transmutation, divination. It's like a bunch of different mixings of magics. There's a lot of enchantment, which is likely where, like, the spell control comes from. But yeah, it's a mixing of magics that doesn't give you off anything, strange or something you wouldn't expect. When you look at Speaker Kraken, he emanates a powerful necro. Which you can make me a religion or arcana check, your choice. As you hone in on, like, the thing happening to her.
22 on religion.
She seems to be cursed. There's some sort of necromantic curse upon her, or like magical disease.
Is that something I have any idea how? Can I undo that?
I mean, there are spells like Remove Curse and Greater Restoration, which you cannot do yet.
Yeah.
But it's not unheard of. There are magical maladies. I mean, honestly, being an archaeologist, you've been cursed before yourself. You touched something you probably shouldn't have, and you got, like, a rot, or you got, like, a shitload of bad luck. But when you look at her, the curse is strange. It's not like a curse that's, like, deteriorating her. It seems like the necromancy side of it seems to be like somehow affecting her soul. But like the connection between her soul and this dragon turtle.
Hmm.
And as you kind of trace back and forth, you now see a new cord. Cord coming from your amulet to the orb. Where the part of her soul that seems to be draining away, your amulet seems to be filling in those.
What are you doing?
I am preparing us. What is to come? And as he says that, you all hear a thunder crack in the distance and a fog begin to roll in every direction. You all hear for a moment, a storm is coming. And that's where we're going to end game. All right. So, thank you all for playing.
That's awesome. Oh man, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That's a cool.
Ocelotus Gaming, thank you for the resub. Appreciated. Mama Shady got us the inspiration. I lied to you all. I used the DM inspiration because I wanted to. Because I'm a dirty liar, and that's how the world works. You can never trust me. Anyway, no, it was fun. I'm glad that you got to see some things about Otiseth that will come to not fruition. Everything's fine. Don't worry. But yeah, thank you so much. And that was the first part, and there will likely be a second part, which we'll see when we continue that either in the next 2 weeks, or if everyone's available for the next 2 weeks, we'll continue the normal storyline. I don't know. We'll play it by ear, but this was the first one, so thank you very much. I will go find someone to raid, probably your son-in-law, I imagine, because that's what I do. But
Yeah, he's on. Yeah.
I'm going to transfer us over to our wrap screen, so if you guys want to say goodbye before I do that.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right.